And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Solus Hackfest. Needs more cowbell. I am Josh, and joining with me is Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hello.
So, what are you going to be working on today?
I am going to be finally getting back to working on cuppa, my comprehensive upstream provider polling assistant, as much of a mouthful as that is.
And in plain English, what does that do?
So, cuppa is a tool that is designed to allow us to check for updates for software in the Solus repository. I've actually designed it generically so that anyone can use it to check for anything. But basically, it works by taking a URL to an existing tarball or other source for a particular piece of software, and then it tries to find the latest versions that are available of it and let you know.
And that's way more exciting than what I'm going to be doing today, which is patches and maybe a bit of not Hackfest, a bit of Help Center stuff.
Sounds good.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, a lot of that stuff can be an interesting challenge. Some of those updates and things.
Yeah, well, I know we have quite of a backlog of patches, and I want to try to call through some of them. Because it looks like we have some like GJS updates, which I think that might be an unstable, so I might reject that, but I'm not sure yet. I have to check.
I am currently trying to determine why the Go report card is reporting a cyclomatic complexity of 15 for one of my functions.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, because it's got 3 nested for loops. Yeah, they'll do that. I hate to admit it, but my caring level just disappeared on that. It's entirely Launchpad's fault.
Let's see.
Because if you remember, like, you have to do a huge dance to get everything that you need.
Yep.
So the first thing you do is request the series of a particular project. That then gives you a list of entries that you have to iterate over. For each of them, uh, you get their list of versions, and then for each version, you get its list of files. And then finally, from those files, you get the set of new releases that are actually available. So it only does that when you're checking for all possible releases. I don't think it does that. Oh no, I was that lazy when I did latest. Yeah, latest just pulls the most recent, so that would also add to complexity. Well, maybe I'll fix that today. We'll see.
Or maybe we'll just pretend it never happened.
Honestly, I think it would still have the for loops. It would just be, instead of keeping everything, it would just keep one. So I don't know how much of a difference that will be performance wise. Because it's just really hard to query Launchpad for the latest version of something, which is completely bizarre to me. But you would think that something's written to do management of source code for open source projects would make it a little bit easier to find out what the latest release is. But
Well, Launchpad is basically in maintenance mode, so.
is it really?
Well, yeah, the only feature they've added in I don't know how many years is Git support.
That's kind of surprising considering how much of their infrastructure is based on it.
I know, right? But everyone's like moving. I mean, one example of people that have shifted from Launchpad to GitHub is Elementary recently.
Well, that makes it easier for me.
Yep.
I'm actually really happy that most of the Node.js stuff is available on GitHub. Otherwise, it would be really hard to track. That's why I've been kind of torn as to whether I need to provide anything for Node or that other one, uh, crates.io for the Rust stuff, because most of that stuff is just hosted on GitHub anyways. So all I'd really be doing is getting the GitHub URL for the thing that I theoretically already know where it is. So
Yep.
and I had a lot of trouble finding documentation on Stackage the last time I looked at things.
Okay, so new GJS is cooking. For some reason, I thought like 1.48 was unstable, but I then looked at what my last update was, and it was 148. I guess it's just yet one of those things that is by GNOME, but doesn't actually follow their own GNOME stuff, their own versioning, which makes it confusing as fuck.
Indeed. I've somehow completely forgotten what the name of Fedora's upstream tracker is. That's how long it's been since I've worked on this. I know it starts with an A.
You're asking the wrong person.
I'm pretty sure it's on GitHub, so I'm just kind of going through the Fedora infrastructure projects right now.
Oh, there's a QGIS update apparently.
What version?
2.18.10. There's just a patch for it, and
Okay.
does that seem sane?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay.
3 is the major breaker because they're going to Qt 5 and Python 3.
Gotcha.
That was some of my personal hell. Yeah, so for those of you who follow us on Google+, I spent some time this past weekend working on some Qt stuff, specifically the Python Qt side of things, to try to get we really only have 3 things that make heavy use of the Qscintilla stuff from the PyQt folk. But that would include Octave, QGIS, and OpenSCAD. And I managed to get Octave and OpenSCAD upgraded to Qt 5, but I had to sort out all the stuff with Qscintilla first. It's part of why we were late on the sync for stable.
That shit happens, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not beating myself up for it. I'm angry that their stuff was so poorly documented that I didn't know I was breaking things.
YouTube, my stream is fine. Stop yelling at me. Stupid keyframe stuff. No, I really wish we had concurrent downloads and adding to the database stuff for the CVE check tool.
That'd be kind of nice, yeah. I wonder how much of that we could do with HTTP2 now. Because then we could just use pipelining. Or whatever they're calling it in HTTP2 now. Streams.
Yeah.
It's whatever the async stuff is. Anitya. I knew. How is that not on? Now I'm just confused. Oh, because it's under the release monitoring project for releasemonitoring.org. That's why.
This person didn't add a changelog to their summary. But I already asked them to add a test plan, and they did that, so I can't be arsed to really ask them to add a changelog as well for Erlang of all things.
So the whole reason I was trying to find this was to look at somebody else's list of providers.
Right.
And they don't do a crazy lot more than us, and there's a bunch of these that we wouldn't do anyways because we don't really track server bits.
That's true.
So one of the things I think I'll work on today is Bitbucket. So I don't think that API was too bad when I looked last, because that's mostly Git based anyways. So, but they have CPAN crates, which, like I said, we don't really need. They have a custom one that basically looks at file paths in FTP and file listings for HTTP. Then they got the Debian stuff, which, what does that even track? Oh, that's ftp.debian.org.
Which we also don't really need to follow.
Yeah, because we don't really pull much from them, do we?
Not that I'm aware of.
As I grep all of
The
our repos
repository.
for Debian. libpaper comes from there. Papyrus. Sorry, I can't push F4 while I have my terminal doing things. Let's see. So Charpath, CHR RPath. Check RPath. Maybe that's what that is. That's from Alioth.debian. And then we've got libpaper, which comes from ftp.debian. Latency top that comes from ftpde.debian. Dpackage comes from Debian. No, that's not Debian. A bunch of the icon fonts are getting, or icon themes are getting tagged because they contain the word Debian. Dev scripts comes from Debian. DMZ cursor theme. Oh, my local build of DMZ cursor theme came from Debian. I don't think ours does. I'll double check that. No. The CCID comes from Alioth. PCSE Lite comes from Alioth. Alioth, or however they pronounce it. JBigKit. Well, that comes from GitHub, so that's fine. So not very many things. are actually coming from FTP Debian, which doesn't surprise me.
Holy shit, what? I was just complaining about the C file client using its own like system window bullshit and as a result being really laggy when you drag it around. Well, guess what they fixed in the latest? Apparently, according to this changelog on Fab. And if that's the case, then that would make me a very happy man.
So it looks like we could do Debian tracking because they have the .dsc files, the Debian signature checksum, something like that, files. And that actually looks pretty much compatible with YAML. And it'd be easy enough to do a regex match on that anyways for what we're looking for. But that would give you the version number.
Fucking hell.
It's going to be one of those days. And then you might be able to get the tarball from that because it's just the version without the release number .orig.tar.gz, which actually begs the question of what differs in their release numbers. Because that can make repeatable builds a little bit challenging. But yeah, so that would have limited impact if I decided to implement that. So I don't know if I will.
Why did I decide to build QGIS at the beginning of the stream? Now I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 patches lined up of things ready to land.
QGIS takes a long while.
I done fucked up.
Yep. So obviously we don't need to track Drupal 6 or Drupal 7. I don't know that we actually get anything off of Fresh Meat. Because that's all the freecode.com stuff. Of course, as I say that, I find two things. Apparently, util-linux comes from freecode. I thought that came from the kernel devs.
Sounds like something that would.
Maybe somebody just pulled it in from a weird spot on an update. Because I know Ike's had trouble with the kernel mirrors sometimes. The other one is giblib. I don't know why that would be coming off of freecode, but yeah. So just as a reminder for anyone who's tuning in, because I completely forgot to do this, if you would like to chat at us and ask questions or make comments of the general sort, you can find us on Freenode IRC in the Solus Livestream channel.
Yep, and you could join us with a native or a web IRC client for that particular channel. Because I don't think we've banned the web ones from there.
Not sure. I've never actually tried to connect through the web-based. Yeah, so GitHub, we got GitHub support. I do have some super secret patches sitting in the background to enable that to use API keys for OAuth. Obviously, I can't work on that today because that currently has my OAuth key in plain text, which, probably not a great thing to broadcast to the internet.
Yep.
Gnome.py we know looks at cache.json on the GNOME sources. So that should be pretty straightforward to do. I don't know if GNU, is that Savannah?
Yep.
Oh, this is GNU.org. This isn't even Savannah.
Have they even invented anything over there to track updates? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Their FTP server has /pub/GNU/thingamajig, and then inside of that there's a folder for each of the version numbers. So worst comes to worst, I could parse version numbers, which I'd have to do because there's nothing there to indicate the version of a thing, which is kind of goofy. Let's see what they have in.
Well, as we know, versions are negative in the freedom dimension.
This is me trying not to laugh. I just want things to be sane. That's all. I have no moral or ethical issue with the company wanting to keep part of their source private. I don't. Just make it so the parts that interact with the operating system are open so I can compile the wrapper around it. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on their FTP server that I could use to track things, so I think I pretty much would have to read through the directory structure, which means doing math on version numbers. Yay. Yeah, that's exactly what an ETL does. It gets all the versions and then it sorts them as ordered versions and then returns the things. Yeah. So after that, then there's Google Code, which we shouldn't have too much stuff coming from there anymore. Looks like FeedReader has a file related to it, but that's not there. Surf has some references, but those are patches. Looks like libpgm might actually be coming from them, or at least an archive of it. And then no. SQL Heavy's coming from them. That's a Blender patch. libkate used to be there, but its source is coming from elsewhere now. Actually, that's just the homepage for SQL Heavy. Oh, no, never mind. The tarball is coming from there too. So I don't know how much that would be worth actually tracking, especially because Google Code is supposed to actually shutter itself sometime. Though they've been very non-committal about when they want to close. I think right now Google just doesn't care because it's just disk space. So we already have Package. We have Launchpad, although I know that needs to be improved. The Maven stuff for Java, I could do it. I don't know that we are actually actively pulling anything from maven.org. Not a single thing. Node. What is packages?
I'm not entirely sure if there's really any use case in supporting node packages as a provider, just because those are never installed by themselves.
Right, and any of the root packages that are pulling them in, they're going to pull it from GitHub anyways.
Exactly.
Packages looks to be PHP stuff. Which I also wouldn't expect us to have, because that would be a few random dev tools that probably point at GitHub projects, as is the case of PHP code coverage. And probably PHP unit. Yep. It looks like we had a couple of people join us for the stream. Lou, Joe Bonrici, and SM222. Yeah, we don't have a single thing that gets pulled from packages. And it's amazing to me how many of these things I haven't heard of. Pagure, Pagure.io. That sounds like Python. Pagure is a Git-centered forge, Python-based using Pygit 2. And it's got a big fat fedora on it. So this is probably their homebrewed Launchpad answer, if I had to guess. And I guess we pull OSInfo, libosinfo, OSInfoDB, and OSInfoDB tools from them. So there might be some merit to including a binding for this. Oh, that's wonderful. It's literally Pagure.io/API/0 for the API version /project name /git/tags. Say what?
Wait, what?
I'm slightly confused right now.
When the hell did WizNote become Electron? I thought that shit was cute.
I don't know.
Oh, no, this was one of the things that was held back because we didn't have a newer Qt version.
Josh,
What'd I do?
Firefox has a JSON viewer now.
As a really?
Yeah.
Let's see if I could open up Firefox on the
Let
other
me
window.
let me send you a link.
There we go.
This is complete and utter news to me. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but just the sheer fact that it renders.
Wait, so what am I supposed to be looking at? All I see here is JSON in Chrome.
Right, but if you go to Firefox, it's got a viewer.
All right, let's fire it up.
And if you look at the page source,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is new. When did this happen?
Exactly.
I didn't see this in the fucking changelog.
I don't know when it happened,
Huh.
but I like it.
Nice.
You can even tell it to pretty print the raw data. So, like, if you get a malformed JSON file that doesn't have white space, like it shouldn't, then you can push pretty print, and it looks nice. It's even got the header panel, so you can like see the request. Like that's so nice. I'm sure a bunch of people who are watching this right now are just like, what are you guys on about?
Firefox, dude. Because it's a JSON viewer, man.
But the number of times that we look at stuff like this, and it's just a nightmare to view.
Yep.
Like I most of the time when I'm looking at stuff that's coming out of like Launchpad or something like that, I have to pull up a JSON viewer, and I have to actually toss it in there, reformat all the code, and then view it. So to have this built into Firefox is actually extremely useful, especially because it can tell you the headers, because that's really nice for debugging APIs.
Is Erlang done yet? Yes, it is. Now I just have to wait the decade it takes to get things in the index.
Do we have a guideline for whether or not a full stop should be used at the end of a package summary? Well, so for summaries, they should be pretty much a single sentence. For descriptions, they can be multi-line. I usually don't leave a complete empty line between description and the next field, though.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah. For me, if I see any new lines for, like, after description, I request changes to get it removed.
And I've noticed that sometimes the descriptions don't actually get parsed right in the Software Center if you actually have any new lines in the YAML. So I just, I personally, I will copy and paste a paragraph in. I'll strip out all the extra new lines and just have the one for the single line for the description. Because I'm happy to open up a YAML file in a text editor to have a line wrap for me. It's one of those things we have to remember that YAML is a machine language, not a human language. So,
Really, did someone do a Vim update?
Probably.
People, come on. You realize they release like 10 freaking Vim versions like a day? Why? Why would you give me this? You realize there isn't like fuck all here for. I mean, thanks, I guess. I'll land it because I have no reason not to, but. But it's Vim. Like, let me see. Let me go ahead and hide that. There we go. Look at my Thunderbird, people. Look at this. Look at all the Vim things. The majority of the updates in my package updates folder in Thunderbird is Vim. These are all from like the last day. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 releases. And I guarantee you by the time I get around to even landing this Vim update, there's going to be another Vim update. Okay. That rant is over. Got that out of my system.
So apparently, libos info on Padger doesn't even have any git tags. So I guess we'll have to figure out a different way to parse the releases.
Okay, so Erlang has been indexed, which means I could land this new elixir if I could find the tab for it.
Because libos repo or libos info isn't, the tarballs are hosted on Padger, but the git isn't. GitLab. So we shouldn't even be using Padger for that. We should be pulling it from GitLab directly.
Oh wow. So I accidentally added an E to the end of land when I was doing arc land. And the next line after that was assuming landy is the British spelling of land. Fuck, I wish. Oh, that's great.
Did it kind of answer your question, Joe Alden, a little bit better? At some point, I'll be working on a tool called ylint that'll actually go through the package.yaml and make sure it's formatted according to our standards. So a lot of that stuff will get caught ahead of time. Just realizing I didn't actually give a very good explanation. Yeah, so Padger, I don't really care about. Pair, we shouldn't be pulling anything from, I don't think.
I assume you mean pair as in like the PHP thing?
Yeah.
No, we shouldn't be. Like, because all I've done in terms of that is enable pair support.
Yeah, there's a few text references to it, but there's nothing in our build root that has it. No problem, Joe. Happy to answer. Packle, isn't that a Perl thing? No, that's also PHP.NET. How many different repository systems do these people have?
Oh, do you have any support for what is it, like the Go? There's like a GitHub thing, a GitHub, not client, but fuck, alternative that's written in Go that you could deploy yourself. Do you know what I'm talking about, like Googs or something?
Yeah, I do remember that. I always go to Awesome Go to find out what the heck it's called, though.
Oh, it's Gogs. Okay.
GOGS.
Yeah. I like my name of Googs better.
Instead of the Go Get service. Oh, they've got a pretty website. And a bunch of places using them that I have never heard of.
Yeah.
Not putting down your projects, guys. I just don't recognize any of those names.
Wow, I'm surprised Mississippi's so sophisticated that they could actually deploy this stuff.
We actually use GitLab on campus here.
Even the rednecks are getting smarter. Holy shit.
I don't even know.
I'm American.
Like,
I'm allowed to
what
say
is-
that, okay?
Yeah. What is the University of Mississippi known for? Now I have to know. Let's look at their research.
Yeah, I'm going to their website too.
Oh my. Center for Advanced Infrastructure Technology, Center for Archaeological Research, Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, Center for Pharmaceutical Marketing and Management,
Wow.
Center for Manufacturing Excellence, Center for Wireless Communications.
There's hope for the
National
South
Center.
after all.
Yeah, no. This is actually like a place for smart people. Smart, which is kind of why it's funny that their copyright hasn't been updated in their footer since 2011.
That kind of sounds like typical university stuff, though, to be fair.
To be fair, that's just the research stuff. Their main page is 2017. But
It's okay.
yeah,
It's
don't worry
okay,
about
Zach.
it.
You haven't really missed much.
I've just been going through Anitya, trying to realize what backends I might actually still care about that I don't have. And then for some reason we started talking about GOGs. I don't even remember why.
I was basically asking if you're going to be doing provider support for or something.
Do they even have an API? It's a question that has to be asked.
I don't know. That's kind of why I was asking.
Features, custom templates, webhooks, authentication.
It'd be kind of lame if they didn't. But I'm landing this Vim update while it's still up to date.
I think they just have a traditional REST API. I don't know how well it's documented. Sorry to hear that it's been a long week for you, Beacon.
Speaking of anti-spam, I suppose I should visit the forums and.
Becky cleared out a bunch this morning.
Yep, there's more spam.
Joe, if for some reason we got the license wrong in the package.yaml, that would just be a release bump for an existing version. But if it's a new version of a piece of software that the license changed in, we would still have to change the license field and we'd still have to bump the release number. So
Banned by IP, like that's gonna do anything.
yeah, if it's missing it, I can just submit a patch for it that adds it, but you do still need to bump it. Otherwise, it doesn't actually get updated in the package center, or the software center, rather. It's another thing I'm hoping at some point we'll be able to check after a package has been built that the licenses that are included with it match the ones that we say it does, kind of a thing.
People, start reporting spam on the forums. I don't have to dig around, please. Thank you.
Okay, I gotta see how they're doing their SourceForge tracking. This will be entertaining.
I appreciate those that have done it, but there's still plenty of posts that need to be removed.
What?
I mean, it would be nice if we could just switch over to Discourse when the migration thing supports the latest PHP BB.
No way. SourceForge has RSS feeds. Yeah, it would be treated as an update, Jolden. This would be very brute force, but I could probably figure out how to parse the RSS feeds from SourceForge, which would be a not small number of things.
Oh, come on. Well, people use the stack feature in Fab. Come on. Because otherwise, it won't yell at you if you do an arc patch. Because I guarantee this build is going to fail. No, it somehow worked. It shouldn't have. See, D442. Okay.
Wow, that is a lot of things. Yeah, that's about 280 packages. And maybe a few patches.
Merge or rebase. What's this? Is this outdated? No. Okay, I'm just gonna reclone this. When in doubt, RM Tech RF.
So apparently SourceForge is within reach. Which I'm as surprised about as anybody else.
Now that's still failing. What? Oh, okay. It's because that was bumped to 221 rel 5. Alright.
Okay, now that I'm sufficiently entertained from clawing my way through everything that the Fedora folk do. I will say, especially for being written in Python, this is actually pretty nice. But yeah, it's meant to be run as a web server, so I care a little bit less about it. All right, so on to the thing that I was actually going to work on today, which is so a while back I decided that I was not going to use the Cobra library that everybody else uses for commands. And I started writing my own inside of cuppa as a test. But it's been so long since I worked on this that I don't remember how it works. How sad is that?
Yeah, it's just gonna be easier for me to bump this myself.
All right, well, the good news is my CPAN stuff still works. You would think that when I type help, it would just call usage. Alright, I think I know what I did. It calls its own usage if you don't give it enough arguments. You know, I'm surprisingly okay with this. Who knew that I had my head screwed on straight when I was doing this last time? Now, the real question is, does it sort alphabetically? No, it doesn't. I think that's a good or a bad thing. George.
What? Sorry, I'm focused. I was focused.
Focused. So so the way that this command system is set up is that it has a global variable called all, which is an array of commands, and then you just populate it with commands. So when you just type the word cuppa without anything else and it prints the usage, it says cuppa with a command and then the options for that command, and then it gives a list of commands.
Right.
And for each of those commands, it lists the name hyphen the description of it, which I think I called short. I think that's called short. And then it prints it out.
Right.
But the ordering is not pre-sorted. So I'm wondering if I should do that.
Probably. I think you could just use strings.sort or something.
The problem is the way that I'm storing it right now, the name is contained inside of the command. It's not a key to it.
I would have had like a map string to command or something.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering why I didn't do that.
Because then you could just recurse over the map values.
Still have to sort them, but yeah.
Yeah, but you could at least sort the keys.
It would also probably make it easier to register commands. I wonder why I decided to put the name inside of the command. There's got to be a reason for that. Might not be a good reason. Okay, let's slowly refactor this.
Oh, I was like, why can't I find account service? It's one of those special things where it's like the only one where for some reason we opted to have a titleized repo name for it. So that's cool, I guess. And just another reminder, if you are tuning in and want to know who we are chatting to, it's not just to ourselves. There is many people in the #Solus-Livestream IRC channel, and that is on irc.freenode.net. And you can join that with a web or a native IRC client, such as HexChat, WeChat, IRSSI, Polari, maybe. I don't know. Is that even still around? Do people even use that?
Yes. It is still a thing. Oh, if I have a map, I don't even need to search for things anymore. Code gets so simple.
So it wouldn't be treated as an update. Yes, it would be treated as an update. If whenever you do a bump to the rel, which is every single time you make any sort of modification to a package, that is treated as an update, and the user will receive that. Let me guess, index, of course it is. File integrity, blah 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 compromised. Fine, I'll be a bit patient then, and make republish. Now, Joe, I'm not entirely sure how we handle, like, if you only do a bump to the license and there isn't like any sort of changes in the file, so there wouldn't really be a delta if we only just update the metadata or something. That would be an IKEY answer, I guess, or question answer.
Ha!
What?
I have succeeded. I'm now using a map,
Woohoo!
which means I somehow magically managed to remember all the things. Because it's been a little bit of a time since I've done Go stuff, even. Long enough that I have to look up Golang sort again.
Well, assuming things pan out, I might actually have myself a gig where I'll be self-employed and I'll be writing something entirely in Go as a backend for the next 10 months.
Woohoo!
I know, right?
Oh, it's just sort. I think. Sort.slice. That should do it. Because it's because strings. So I should be able to do that. Really?
What's the issue?
There's still no function in Go for grabbing all the keys. You still have to do an append.
Yep. I feel like not in the upcoming packaging session, which is 4-1, but I mean, I'm going to have a 4-2 because I'm seeing all these different patches where they're not using stack at all. So there's no way of knowing unless they say depends on in the summary to like automatically add it to the stack. Like for instance, there's a CCNet update, and that's actually needed for cfile, which is then needed for a cfile-client. But there's no stack, so unless you're actually familiar with that, then you have no idea. Or the earlier thing where I had to deal with the Python docker-py thingy after Docker Compose. So I don't remember, did you ever play Eve? Because I remember us talking about it before. I just don't remember if you played it.
No.
What?
No, I don't think I've ever played Eve.
Ah, never mind. It's just like I wouldn't say it's a unique feeling of like half excitement, half anxiety when you're like in the middle of just space. Whether you're like warping into somewhere to dock up, or you're warping out to like some unknown asteroid belt or something, and just like this feeling that you get that at any point in time you could be interdicted and someone just come in and take you out. Anyway, just like it's been so long since I've had that sort of sensation, which is like I said, like a mix of excitement, like oh my god, anything could happen at any point in time, but also anxiety, like anything could happen at any point in time. And just when I was playing Elite yesterday, I was warping back to I was carrying some cargo because I was doing like a freight run thing. I had just started playing it, so I was just trying to get a bit of credits, and I was like transporting. I think it was like alcohol of all things, to like a different orbital like spaceport, and I got interdicted. So basically, like while you're in the middle of, I don't know if they call it FTL or they call it something else, but you could be interdicted. I again don't know if it's by AI or if it's by person or both. Because fortunately, I managed to escape the interdiction, so I had no idea who or what was trying to do it. Because it like provides this really cool interface where you have to like almost like fly through the wormhole that you're part of. Anyways, I have to like I should have recorded it, but it's like for a split second, it's like oh shit, I really have to nail this like escape, otherwise I am just completely screwed.
Mm.
It was just so much fun. If only it was a Linux title.
Huh. Oh, I didn't convert it to a string. That's why.
but like it was like 10 a.m. or something when I finally went to bed. And like right before that, I had just gotten a mining ship, so I guess after the stream, I'm going to hopefully be doing some mining and not get completely screwed by someone. But first, work. Work and then play.
That was a lot of effort. The thing that I just did.
Do I not think packaging sessions 2 and 3 should be taken off YouTube? Because when I watched them, I thought I need to watch them all in order. Well, that's exactly why I don't have a playlist, but yeah, I'll probably change them to unlisted. I do not know. Because on one thing, yes, it avoids confusion, but on the other, if I constantly take down the sessions, then it's gonna make our channel look kind of empty. We just need Ike to post more like sexy budgie stuff, like all the fancy popover stuff he's doing. Post videos on that. So once cuppa is completed, will you be writing another tool to automatically run Y update on packages that need updating and put them on fab? That was directed at you, Brian.
Goodness. Probably won't be Y update. It'll probably be a different tool because they serve slightly different purposes. Um, so we've been talking about doing this for a little while, some of the automation bits, and I'd say there's a pretty fair chance that at some point in the future we'll be able to have a tool that sits in the background, checks an existing package.yaml for an update. If it finds one, it'll do a Y update, a make bump. Well, it won't need to do the bump because Y update doesn't do that. But it'll do the equivalent of a Y update with the bump, and then commit that into the repository, which will trigger a build. If the build passes, yay. Then we'll have to have another mechanism for that so that we know that when this tool is submitting, the builder doesn't automatically put it into the repo
Right.
because it hasn't undergone testing, but it will be able to build it to verify that. So that's something we'll have to work on the builder side, is allowing it to know the difference between an automated build and a person pushing a build. Because the assumption is when a person pushes it, it's already been tested. So, but yeah, I don't think there's anything fundamentally preventing us from doing that with cuppa, and that's been one of my goals from the get-go. Is to see if we can't automate as much of the updates as we can. But there's still always going to be a human factor involved in testing things. I hope that answers the question, even though it's not as terse as it could be.
Meanwhile, I am still waiting on the indexer. I guess I could create these repos while I'm at it. Could really use with Fairy or Fairied. Okay, so the WizNote one is constructed. And I also need to do light ID. And that one has been initiated. And CCNet is still not indexed. Come on, damn it. Go faster. It's been 9 minutes. The machine should be waiting on me, not vice versa. Okay, so Joe, I see this. I believe there is a patch already in the repo for a Rust update. I want to say that there's a patch for 118. Yeah, there is. But it's always a bit of a pain. Yeah. So I might have IKEA review this one. Let's see, what needs libas or libacs? Looks like nothing. What? Okay. Wonder why we have it. Well, I guess there's no reason to not have the updated version if nothing requires it. And there's only API additions, so that's good. BSD. What's that needed by? Just radio tray. Okay. Oh my god. Why was Spidey support dropped from this? And libcurl?
What package?
libmicro httpd.
Yeah, those shouldn't have been removed.
I know. Especially the Spidey support. Because I'm not seeing any indication of HTTP2, which would be obviously the replacement for Spidey. Oh, yeah, libcurl was removed because we moved libcurl dash, well, we moved curl dash devel to programming dash devel, or programming.devel, when it used to be in system.devel. So the package config wasn't there to re-add it, so. That doesn't explain why libSSL was removed from the API bits. Alright, is CCNet updated in the index yet? Hey, it is. Woohoo. That took longer than I wanted it to. This is an obscure platform at all.
What's that?
Oh, this fromagit.org. Well, it's French. Them French liking their own things. Let's see. Don't we have something already for managing emulator stuff? Hey Zach, are you around? No, never mind. He literally pinged me as he said that. Can you review T3875 Gym and see if that console thing is actually worth adding to the repo? If there's any value added, because it's kind of your thing. Thank you. Some major wine update. Is this the latest stable? No, this is a development release. Why are we getting a patch for this? Because I'm pretty sure 2.9 wasn't a development release, was it? Let's see. Well, this indicates it. That 2.9 was as well. But then what? I'm guessing we're on development branches instead. And this 2.10 would already be out of date given 2.11 is the thing. Do you mind commenting and asking if there's a difference between this and Lutris, please? On the gym thing, if you can. I don't know if like it's your day off and or if you have access to Fab or something. Thank you, Zach. I think I'll leave the app stream bit to a key. Oh god, I just looked at this YouTube viewer stack and all the Perl stuff involved. Could people not write these graphical applications in Perl of all things? No, it looks like Peter's on it anyways. Yeah, never mind. Just gonna pretend I didn't see any of that. Pcache FS, I don't know why we have a patch for this when it was never approved in the first place. Exiv 2, I already know this is going to be, yeah, it is. Major API change. And then we have GStreamer stuff, which obviously I'm not going to add until we have Fairy Date. Because screw waiting for the indexer when there's a million and one things that require GStreamer stuff. Okay, is C file at 607 in the indexer yet? It is. What about dash val? Yes. Nice. Means I can land D477. And it has an absolutely massive changelog because apparently people don't know how to do a difference between no changelog and an absolutely monstrous one. That's fine. Okay, so that should be cooking. It is. Nice. Yeah, Lutris and Gem basically does the same thing, just Lutris does a whole lot more. Okay, well, then I don't really see a reason for for Gem to be added. If we already have something that does exactly what it, anyways. And looks a whole lot sexier, might I add. Well, I'm pretty happy so far with all the patches landed. How's cuppa going?
Currently reworking a bunch of the command stuff. To make it print better and to make it easier to work with. Honestly, I think I might have been in the middle of this the last time I worked on it.
What is Unbound? DNS, wait, what? Brian? Why was this DNS server accepted into the repo?
Unbound?
Yeah.
because you run it as a local daemon
Okay.
to man in the middle DNS on purpose.
Ah. I just saw the server and I was like, Brian, we're not a server OS.
I asked about it before I did it.
Okay. Aha. I could tell you didn't use disable static. Who did this? BSD isn't a valid license either. So what is the actual license? This looks like BSD 3 clause, maybe? Let's see. Yep, I was right. That makes me sad. Alright, let's land this. Check for vulnerabilities first. There are none, that's good. And let's have it cook on the server. Why do I get the feeling bind utils is really important? No, apparently not. It's only a network.util. INXI requires it. Engagem or Gadgem, whatever it is. I think that's just an IM client. Yep, Jabber XMPP. So this patch looks good. Let's see if there's already a newer bind 9 though. 1.11 dash P1. What? I'm guessing that's like patch set what or something. Can't speak today. Yeah, looks like it. Although when was this? Oh, it was released the same day, is it? Let's look up Semver. I don't know if dash P is something for that.
Should probably commit sometime soon, huh?
Hmm?
I should probably commit sometime soon, huh?
Oh, yeah. Commit often.
I think I'm gonna make a couple more quick fixes, but then I should be okay.
1 week later. Just a couple more. I swear. Just one more budgie release for the 10 series, please. I know we said our last one was going to be 10.3.x, but this one is so big, it has to be a 10.4. So, Zach, I hate to be a ball but is there a patch request for libirc client, or is it actually needed for something, or? The source forge should be using a mirror. OpenSSL as part of system.devel. I'm sorry, I missed that. If there was a patch request, not patch request, package request for libirc client, or just why is it needed? Are you planning on using it for that IRC client that you keep telling me you're gonna write? Because if that's the case, I'll land it, but I need to know. Let's look it up. It does support a lot of things, that's for sure. More of a submittal. I'm planning on using it. Okay. Okay, well, let's do the usual checking. Wait, what the fuck? What? Why did they change software.opensuse.org to get OpenSUSE? It should just... Oh my god, there we go. I have to actually go to the search thing now. Damn it, SUSE. Okay, so it's in there. Okay. Yep, official. I think it's packages.fedora project. Not source, okay. And it's in there too. Okay, so I actually have no reason to reject it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and request these changes.
You know, for how much I just did, that was a surprisingly few number of lines that changed. 63 deletions, 95 insertions.
It's a lot of insertions. Wink, wink.
Har, 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 har.
You're such a player. Wow, my RTMP server doesn't have that delay. Yeah. And I even clicked the option, I mean, it's on by default, to minimize the delay for people, which I don't even know why they offer it as an option. They should just do that. They as in YouTube on their dashboard, just to clarify.
Do not know. I should really consider tagging a release on this at some point.
Remote terminal. Oh, holy shit. This is actually exactly what I'm looking for. So there's this thing called ET. Like it even has the logo of it. Anyways, it's a eternal terminal. So it's basically like merging of SSH and Mosh. So the Mosh part of it enables like you to maintain a connection with your server even during network outages, so you don't have to constantly reconnect to it, which is really handy. But the thing you lose out about Mosh is the fact you don't get native scrolling or tmux control mode stuff, which is actually the reason why I use SSH on some connections and Mosh on others. But this ET thing actually does both of those things. So this has a yes vote for me, that's for damn sure. please do something about PCL point cloud library?
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Oh, I was like,
We definitely already have libeigen. I think it's got it there. I think it's just eigen. I don't think it's libeigen. But flan, I don't remember if that ever gotten put in. Yeah, we've got eigen 2 and 3, so. Oh, we closed flan as a legacy patch, and then he never resubmitted it.
well, it's not my problem.
Of course, now our stance on Clang has changed a little bit. No, we already have eigen. It's flan that we don't have.
Yeah, we definitely have eigen.
I've built at least half a dozen things against eigen, so I knew it was there. I just didn't know what version we had. In fact, I'm pretty sure Octave uses eigen 3. Lies. Well, I wonder if that's one of those ones that's distributed statically. Because we have eigen 2 and 3, and move it -devel is the only thing that has eigen 3 as a rev dep. So I bet you it's. Well, let's find out. I got both of them installed. I have one of them installed, eigen 3. Oh man, it's entirely header based.
Wait, do these guys not provide any man files?
Apparently, eigen is entirely header based, like nuclear. Go figure. All right. Now that I've sufficiently gotten distracted, what does Cobra do that I don't? It uses a file-based structure.
How the hell does this not have any man pages? You're a terminal app. Come on now. It should be standard. Oh, okay then.
All right, I forgot Cobra has all the bits for flags. That gets fun.
Oh, they didn't provide a summary and they did not provide a test plan. Accept revision for that. Oh, so after that instance where we somehow managed to get a legacy patch from an individual for packaging, I opted to make packaging a popular category for the current Help Center design. So that way it's more easily discoverable. You don't have to go to all categories now.
Nice.
Yep. It was like, okay, clearly I need to do this because somehow people were doing actions.py and pspec and just copy pasting from a different project, which is a big no-no, obviously.
Apparently not obvious enough.
Okay. Yes, people. Add request packages via Twitter. That's exactly how they get added to the repository. Like, I get we're all hip with the Twitter and Google Plus and all the other social medias, but it doesn't mean we're gonna break process for that.
I think I'm gonna take a quick walk.
Alrighty. My god, this KDE Connect, holy shit. That is a lot.
What was that?
Oh, just remarking about there being a lot of KDE dependencies for this KDE Connect thing.
Oh, I took my headphones off and immediately heard you say something.
It was
Okay.
just to the ether.
I'll be back.
Okay. Why do I recall there being an issue with building Riot on the server? Just like how there was an issue with building, oh, what is it called? Itch. Itch from itch.io. Because it's Electron based, that's why. Of course. Not sure I'm gonna land this right now because I don't want to have to SSH into the server and kill the process if because it always works locally for some of this stuff, but then it completely flops on the server for whatever reason. Well, I mean, I think I know the reason. It's because Electron-Packager is stupid and people should stop using it. Granted, I'm of the personal opinion, not obviously reflective of any project or anything of that sort, that People shouldn't be writing Electron and Node.js apps. If you want to write a desktop app and you want it to be multi-platform, write it in Qt. Simple as that. Okay. So they were organized. These actually look a lot better. Let's go ahead and do the usual check of these. So glue's fine. Actually, I think this is all fine. But it should be using a mirror URL. Isn't it like freefr? Freefr.dl, yeah. Let's go ahead and check that. Yep, freefr, yep, here it is. bzip2 was dropped? Why is that? Because bzip2 is part of programming.devel, so I'm not sure why that was removed. Hmm. Oh, there's a white space there. Why is there?
And I'm back.
Welcome back.
I am beginning to realize my stupidity
What's up?
in not bringing any food with me today.
Yep. This is hard work. You should have brought food. Genius.
Man. Well, so here's the thing. At this point, we're coming up on 1500. I've been here since 1100. So I've been here 4 hours. And I get to have a 40-minute bus ride home.
Let's see. Tristan, I expressed what my concerns were with the latest adapter thing in that actual revision. They fucked up global. Well, by they fucked up, I mean they completely dropped supporting global dark theme. Sure, yes, you could run Adapta, Nocto, or whatever it is, and still get some partial dark theme. but they don't actually check anymore for global dark theme. And also, as a result of them doing all their changes to Adapta, if you have, say, Adapta I don't recall if it's Adapta Nocto or Adapta Nocto ETA installed, and you update, like your theme is completely screwed up because they removed the index.theme file, if I recall correctly, at least during my testing. So what you end up with is a bunch of like transparent windows and a bunch of broken GDK theming. So yeah, that's why. Safe to say I have no interest in updating Adapta. And if there is an update that comes from it, it's going to be me forking it proper and maintaining it myself. Because clearly, well, if something isn't in the design language of material design, then we shouldn't support it. Rather than, I'm just going to stop raging.
Too much time with the idiots.
Like, I'm okay with basing your GDK theme on a design language, but just like not supporting a feature just because the upstream hasn't specified how you should design it. It's like, do you not have a brain for yourself to actually do it? Like, are you fully reliant on Google doing material design bullshit? Come on now.
I'm not 100% convinced that material design wasn't necessarily created for that group of people. I don't know. I don't have a problem with a group of people coming together and saying, we as a community need to do better. But when it comes down to defining a style standard for a whole host of people to go by, applications are more diverse than that. And if the web starts looking monotonous, I'm going to stop using the web.
Yep.
It just gets disinteresting after a point. Like, even something like running a Doku wiki or a media wiki, people take the time to customize that to make it look and feel slightly different than the default, so that I know that I'm in a different corner of the internet. If the whole internet starts looking the same, it's just kind of like, what? Why? Like, the sheer amount of bootstraps that I see everywhere. It's just like, seriously? Like, I get it if you're like a small team doing not web things and you don't know what you're doing. Cool. Use Bootstrap. Have fun. If you are a group of web developers and you are using Bootstrap to build your projects for clients, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's insulting to the rest of us who actually do it the right way. You are effectively borrowing someone else's work that was intended to make it easier for people who don't do web stuff to do web stuff in order to do stuff that you are more than qualified to do by hand for each of the projects you do.
Well, it reminds me of the same people that will use jQuery for like one particular functionality rather than just writing a bit of JavaScript yourself.
Yeah, it's complete utter madness. I don't get it.
And another thing that bothers me is like, if I happen like, okay, I don't remember how to do one particular thing in JS or something, I'll look it up, or something regarding XHR requests. I do not want to see one more freaking thing about jQuery.ajax or a jQuery functionality. No, piss off, give me proper JavaScript.
Yeah, it's completely mind-boggling that things like jQuery and Bootstrap have become so prevalent that we have to actually go out of our way to find the documentation that we care about.
Yeah, like the majority of the time I just have a tab open with developer.mozilla.org.
You know what makes me really sad about all of this?
What's that?
Is it reminds me almost entirely of what happened to assembly programming.
I'm too young for that, sorry.
Well, because I don't know that anybody's too young for assembly, but especially because it's coming back now because of the Internet of Things. But like in the way back when, there was a group of people who knew how computers worked because computers were simple enough that a single person in the span of a couple of weeks could basically understand the hardware architecture and start programming directly on the metal,
Right.
which involved flipping all the bits and control signals and things.
Yep.
And somebody came along and said, well, that's stupid. That now you're having to remember all of this binary that you shouldn't have to remember. So they invented assembly. And assembly is just a set of verbal instructions that tell you how to move data around inside of a data path on a
move this
microprocessor.
bit to this location.
Yeah, it's all it is, and it's nothing fancy. And anybody who says that assembly is hard to learn is full of it. Because if you've learned another programming language, assembly is trivial. The hard part is thinking of how the constructs that you're used to in a language translate to assembly. And once you get past that, it's just kind of like, really, guys? Really? So assembly made it possible to write verbally what you wanted to have translated to that machine code, which is cool. And it saves you a ton of time, and you don't have to hand assemble those instructions into binary. But there comes a point when you're writing a compiler that you need to understand how the assembly for that hardware works in order to make good use of it. And I can't tell you the number of times that I go into a coding project that's written in C, C++, it doesn't matter. And somebody, because they have no concept of how hardware works, has this really simple function that does a thing, and it looks like it's amazing because it's 3 lines of code. And then you dig into it, and you're like, well, this is 3 lines of code that you're calling out to functions that call out to functions that call out to functions that call out to functions. And it's as efficient as stack-based execution is in this day and age. Your code will execute like crap. So we've gotten so far detached by coming from having a language like C that makes it really easy to obfuscate that we're dealing with assembly, that we're describing these machines instructions, to then these high-level languages like Python and JavaScript that completely hide you from that. And we just have so much crap code that gets written these days. Now you take that to the web side of things. We started all this off. It was just HTML, and we barely had CSS in the early days of the web. Most of it was actually client-side style sheets that the web browser was setting how things were rendered.
Which we still have those a lot.
We do. It's just that it's all CSS now.
Yep.
So you can totally override that stuff and you can make it better. But we didn't have that in the early days. All we had was HTML. So your browser only had to focus on rendering as quickly as possible a bunch of rectangles and some text. That was all it ever needed to do. And maybe that involves some color, maybe that involves some layering, but it's actually pretty easy to deal with all of that when you're rendering HTML, because it's a tree-based structure. So you just start from the root of the tree, you do everything in a breadth first search of that tree, and then you go up a level, and then you do it again, and you go up a level, and you do it again, and you're constantly layering and layering and layering and layering on top of things, and you don't have any problems. Because that's how things work. And of course, we complicated that with CSS because we needed more robust ways of describing how to render things, because we didn't really have much control over that, and we needed control of that. But nowadays, it's gotten to a point where not only is our code crap on the programming side of things, on the actual like proper server client hardware oriented applications, that we need to have 16 gigs of memory in a modern computer, which is absurd. It's so much memory. Nobody should ever need that. And then to have a browser like Chrome come along and use 4 gig of RAM to have 20 tabs open, like if you were using more than 500 meg of memory to do 20 tabs in 97, you would have been laughed at. Just absolutely laughed at. And I don't care, the computers have gotten faster, memory's gotten bigger, cheaper, whatever. that's still no excuse for writing terrible code. And yeah, browsers have to do a lot more than they used to have to do, but it's not that much more that we need 4 times as much code to handle the things that we're handling. Compilers are much more efficient than that. So now we have these CSS and JavaScript libraries that are tens, hundreds of kilobytes of text gzipped, which means they're hundreds, thousands of kilobytes ungzipped.
Yep.
That is incredibly insane. It's so much code. And half the time people, they don't realize that when they open a web page and it takes forever to load, it's not the client sitting there dealing with server transactions 90% of the time. That 90% of the time, it's rendering from a style sheet that's just utter crap. It's pulling in the 168 kilobytes of Bootstrap gzipped that unpacks to 250 or even 300 kilobytes of raw text that then has to get translated into render rules, applied in order, and it has to go through each and every one of those, regardless of whether or not it's actually used on the page. So the amount of time that's taken to render every single element in a document in HTML is astronomical. And then you go and you have 10 to 20 times as many rules as what you actually need to do that. Yeah, it's going to slow down the page loads. I don't get it. We don't emphasize reusability in CSS the way that we do in other programming languages. And from an assembly perspective, I know that when I call a function, I'm moving to a place in memory and I'm executing my instructions from there, and then I'm coming back. And CSS should be treated exactly the same way. If I have common core sets of code, they should be defined commonly so that I'm only ever going to that section of the rules. So instead of having border set to 0 in a bajillion different places, how about you have one place where you declare it for a bajillion different things? It's incredible how much time that saves in the rendering process. JavaScript's no better.
Shit, and I thought I was the master of fucking rants.
It drives me up. It's so terrible. It's bad enough you're forcing me in 2017 to use JavaScript to do all of this stuff that I need to do for work. Now we've got to deal with CSS from people who just reek of incompetence when they can't reduce their rule sets and do things responsibly. And I understand, Bootstrap's got all this compatibility shenanigans for all the way back through probably IE6 still. Whatever. If what you need to do is support anything and everything, go ahead, use Bootstrap. But understand that it will be completely miserable in the process of doing that. And the other side of that too is also let's think about this for a second. Your web browser pulls a web page. That web page references a style sheet. You request that style sheet. Your web browser doesn't care what file is returned to it. 100% doesn't care. It does, however, tell the machine on the other side what browser you're using. So how about instead of having 168 kilobytes of gzipped CSS that contains all the compatibility code ever for every browser ever, we break that up into separate files. And when the client says, I'm Firefox, we give it the one that applies to Firefox. When the client says, I'm IE7, please help me, give it the IE7 file. Don't give me one gigantic file that has all the rules for all the things ever that I'm never going to use. This is why Chrome has an audit tool that says, hey, you might want to not use this much CSS if you're not actually using all this CSS. It slows things down. Yep.
Wow. Okay then.
I'm just saying, there's better ways to do things.
Yeah.
I've been working on a CSS library on and off for the last 6 months. It's still less than 5 kilobytes of text, ungzipped. And it contains, like, at this point, probably about 70% of the functionality of a library like Bootstrap or Pure.css or any of the others that are out there. So it just shows you that, like, if you know how to manipulate CSS, if you take the time to understand the logic that it's doing and you start thinking of it as a programming language instead of a style language, and you actually start caring about efficiency, you can do some pretty incredible things. And I don't promise that my library works all the way back to IE7. I don't have to.
That.
92% of the market today is going to be Firefox and Chrome and a smattering of Internet Explorer Edge.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even support IE11. It's like either on Microsoft Edge, you're on Chrome, or you're on Firefox. And in some rare instances, I might be kind enough to support Safari. But not like they don't even support in their current version of Safari something like WebRTC, which is bullshit. Microsoft Edge supports it. Come on now.
When Microsoft is that far ahead of the times.
Seriously. They have
basically the only thing that Safari has going for it right now is its JavaScript engine.
It's like Edge is like so far ahead of the curve in terms of ECMAScript 7 support. Like it's unreal.
It's pretty funny because back in the Internet Explorer Netscape days, when Netscape and Internet Explorer were fighting with each other, Microsoft was always that jerk that implemented it differently than what the specs said to do. And now they're the Opera of 2017.
Yeah, for real.
They are the most stringent on the standards. I will say they do jump ahead. They do put some of the draft stuff in, even though I personally feel we shouldn't have draft specifications getting implemented in browsers. But
well, I try to look at it this way as I'm really hopeful that by, say, them racing ahead, by adding drafts, maybe that will force the W3C's hands to maybe push forward the spec faster, or maybe get other vendors like Google and Mozilla to support it first, or support it faster. It's just the way I look at it.
you would think that they would at least evaluate it from the perspective of, okay, 5 of the major browsers have all adopted this. Why is this still a draft?
Right.
Can we just admit that this exists everywhere? Hotspot not working for Tim. Tim, is it that specific Athros card? Or is it a different device? Because a lot of this hotspot stuff is very kernel dependent.
Thanks for the fixes, Joe. This is also another reason why I really like doing this Hackfest. It's like the people that have patches are typically watching.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you need to fix this. And like 2 seconds later, it's like, okay, it's done. Here you go. Land it, please. You do real MVPs.
It's an Intel device. Does it actually show up in like LSPCI or LSUSB, Tim? Because if it's there and you've got a kernel module, yeah, it's probably on us. I'm confused what host APD has to do with hotspots. Oh, it's that side of. I thought we already had ad hoc support. Am I nuts?
I think you are nuts.
No, there's a button to use as hotspot.
Sure, but does it actually work? Because I know there's plenty of. I think there's a few tests on our tracker for hotspots not working.
Fascinating. That actually did do nothing.
Yeah, T80. Well, literally the one Tim linked. Lol. But also then again,
That's the one I'm looking at.
yeah, T1951, which I closed as the dupe of T84.
Okay, I'm opening GNOME Control Center from the terminal, going to Network, clicking Use as Hotspot. Turn on. Error connecting to modem manager, error call, starting service, org free desktop modem manager, failed to load, failed to add new connections, hotspot is not available. So that looks like it's missing modem manager, not host APD. Unless host APD's unit file is modem manager.
So it cannot locate. Okay, so I can validate that. I'm wondering what Perl stuff is missing then.
I'm wondering if this is just a unit file that's missing in modem manager.
People, please, Lax project does. It's literally just a placeholder thing. You're supposed to move it to the appropriate tag. Okay, so I'm guessing this is missing Perl stuff.
Okay, so this was updated by Peter in April. Probably about the same time. Did we upgrade Network Manager? I think we did.
Looks like SVN needs to be changed.
Oh no, it's still 1.42. I guess we didn't go to 1.6.
Let's see if there's a new version of Subversion. Nope, still 1.9.5. Okay. So let's go ahead and compile this and see if it yells about Perl. No, it finds Perl. I wonder if it just needs to be rebuilt. Let's see, has there been Perl changes? When was the last one? Last one was April 10th, which was 5.24.1. And this was in May. Okay. Oh, I don't even have Subversion installed. How much do you want to bet? This person was trying to run git svn init without actually having Subversion installed.
Womp womp.
No, it still failed. The fuck? There's no changes in my bump, the make bump.
I'm currently building Modem Manager.
Cannot load. Oh, it has this auto SVN and then what? The path is incorrect, that's why. Oh wait, no, there's auto here.
Looks like we do ship the unit file for modem managers. I wonder what's going on.
So it does exist, so where? Cannot load this. And it exists. Undefined SVN PL convert hash. No, it's there too. PL convert hash.
Failed to add new connection. Connection hotspot is not available on the device at this time.
It's gonna be in Svan Pearl here.
Oh, I wonder if that's why Ike was poking at host APD. I wonder if there's a third operating mode for Wi-Fi.
Okay, and that's definitely in there. There's literally no reason why this shouldn't be working. What's in the dash devel? I wonder if I do a lib split on subversion, if that'll fix it. Not that it should make a difference.
Yeah, I think you need host APD in order to make it act like an access point. Like it seems like the Wi-Fi doesn't have access to it to start with.
How do I list what packages are already... Oh, and you already replied to lol.
Herp.
Herp derp.
I figured I wouldn't be a jerk and I'd type it out instead of saying it out.
Okay, so that is why that was used, because prefix is passed.
The only way to disable Bluetooth with this Wi-Fi adapter is to disable Wi-Fi. Just full on airplane mode. Yeah. Well, I guess I gotta mess around with host APD or some silliness. I'm actually kind of surprised this hasn't been done yet, to be honest. I have a feeling this is going to fall into the category of how hard can it be.
Yep.
It's a make file instead of a configure, so they should be all C or Perl.
Looks like Natron needs EXR support. Oh, that requires surf. No, that still doesn't work, so.
Guano, Aiki, he's usually on these streams. It has nothing to do with whether he's at Intel or not. He's just working on budgie stuff today, and it's easier if he's not streaming.
Yeah, it requires him to log in and out and all that stuff, and just means you'd have to constantly open up OBS and that sort of cruft, so.
After a pretty decently short time, this starts cutting into your margins. So we pick our battles.
Right, let's see if this update of Natron and OpenEXR support will fix this.
I really need to get a new office chair.
Yeah, mine was free, so I can't really complain too much. But the reclining bit stopped working, so I can never like recline and lay back.
Mine just sporadically starts to drop. Just slowly sinks. So in the 4 hours since I got in this morning, it collapsed to its bottom setting. Have you?
Lol.
Indeed.
Okay, was this made in master? Settings.cpp. No, that still isn't fixed. Seriously, who in their right minds think /user/OFX is a valid path? Come on now. Now I have to rebase this patch. Bunch of assholes. So it looks like only libs of OpenFX. Host path. What file? Plugin cache. Looks like it failed on this. Yep, here. Right, time for some good old-fashioned rebasing. So I need to edit engine, settings.cpp. Need to edit this. Is that it? Okay. Seems that's it. I don't care if it's in the submodule. Trying to figure out how I add files in Git that are actually part of submodules. Do you know by any chance?
Say again?
How to add files that are in submodules. Like if you make a change to a file.
I think you have to go into the submodule checkout and then do it from there.
Oh, what a bullock. I'm just gonna have 2 patches.
I am supremely confused right now.
Okay, I will be right back.
Okay. QTC, you should be installing them where they're already installed for other things. So binaries should end up in user bin. Cups wrapper should be where all the other cups wrapper stuff, and PPD file should be where all the other PPDs are, which should be user shared PPD, blah, blah, blah. I don't think the subfolder matters that much for user share PPD, but I don't know a crap ton about cups. I did spend a lot of time working on those brother drivers, so have fun.
And I am back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Did I miss anything exciting?
Well, me just finding out that I was compiling in the wrong directory, and that's why I needed to not be in that directory.
Lol. Can't find the file. Oh, okay. I think I know why. Alright, let's switch over to Git support.
One of our viewers is apparently taking a crack at brother printers.
Good luck.
So what are you working on?
I'm trying to update Natron. Because I noticed there was a T3837, which it can't open up EXR files, which I imagine it's because it doesn't have any EXR build depths. And I was like, alright, well, I may as well update it while I'm at it, and it's being a pain in the ass.
Fun. Oh, look, it built.
And just a reminder for those who are interested in packaging but haven't delved into it before, you could watch session 4, which is an introductory session on the Solus YouTube channel right now. And it'll walk you through going and creating your first package and submitting it to the repo while submitting it for inclusion in the repository. So it walks you through setting up Arc and the ArcNS tool and all that stuff. And then tomorrow morning, I will be having session 4-1, which is going to be an advanced session. It's going to be mostly identical, if not completely identical, to 3-1. So if you've already watched that, you're not missing out on anything. It's just I like to constantly keep the sessions going so new individuals can get introduced to packaging on Solus. But I do plan on having a session 4-2 for more complex bits of Solus packaging. including apparently some modifications to or how you use stack bits on Fabricator, because apparently that's needed. Well, Neutron's compiling now at least.
Building, building, building. I don't know if this has a service file. I have to manually install the man pages. Really?
This is what make recipes are for, people. It's still compiling. What the hell? Compile faster, damn it. Ain't nobody got time for this.
Host APD is a user space daemon, so it's supposed to be run as a normal user. Which still doesn't explain how Network Manager is supposed to use it.
Oh man, this class mixer is ugly. It's basically a GUI version of Also Mixer. Just somehow worse.
Well, in theory, my built-in wireless is supposed to be able to support access point mode. So there's that.
This person didn't. What? Ah, these need to be alphabetized. So curious if you would like to call it soon so we could both get some food. I know you haven't eaten in a while, so.
Yeah. Sorry, I was lost in.
Lost in the weeds, huh?
Yeah, it is frequently happens, unfortunately. Um, uh, yeah, I guess.
I mean, whenever works for you, I guess.
Let me check a schedule quick. Yeah, I guess now's probably a pretty good time.
Alrighty. Oh, looks like Aki just posted a video on Google Plus. Is that all using budgie popovers? Huh, it is.
Yeah.
Shit, nice.
Did he put it on the budgie page?
He put it on Google Plus.
His Google Plus?
Nope, it's all Google Plus.
Oh, well, that's different.
Well, not anymore. They're one and the same. Alright, well, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time. Say bye-bye.
Bye.